Hello, this is Ian Austin, and this is Friday Night Fright Limitless Shazam. Limitless series, of course, is me using my Limitless Odeon card to see all the movies I want to see at cinema, and Shazam's one of them. So this is going to be a quick review, about 15 minutes or so, maybe a bit more, maybe a bit less, I'm not sure. Anyway, yep, so I've seen Shazam. I saw it on Friday and it's now Sunday. I'm in the midst of wrestling season. NXT was Friday and watched that yesterday. Go and try and watch G1 Supercard later on in WrestleMania tomorrow. So I should be able to get Paranormal Activity up for next Friday, but it's going to be a different one. It's going to be the Tokyo Nights, Paranormal Activity Tokyo Nights, which I found on Blu-ray on Amazon. Hopefully it'll work. And I'll be doing a recap of sorts of that for next week. I know Paranormal Activity movies have slipped a bit, but I had a few things I'd rather do. The Get Out and Us reviews I was obviously quite proud of, and Shazam be up on Tuesday, Paranormal Activity Tokyo Nights on Friday, and maybe a special review for next week. I'm not sure. Anyway, Shazam, what did I think? Well, firstly, I need to say I'm a big fan of the comic book Shazam. The comic book obviously started out being called Captain Marvel, The Adventures of Billy Batson, who wished and then became Captain Marvel, but then rights and all of that nonsense came into it. So now it's just called Shazam, which in some ways better because, Shazam's the name for the wizard and, passed down legacy and all of that. It's an easy way to create a legacy movie. I should add from this point, there's going to be spoilers for the review, obviously. So if you don't want to listen to spoilers, don't listen to the review. I'll give my brief summation of what I thought the movie was. I thought it was a very watchable movie, very entertaining, very good. Had kind of a slight 80s aesthetic, obviously done in modern day, so it's not quite as 80s as you'd imagine. Performances were all strong. Mark Strong, strong Mark Strong was very good, and thought overall it kept to the theme of the comic quite nicely, although there were a few horror elements in there. And in some ways, I'm kind of sad that it wasn't a PG, because if any movie should be appealing to kids, it should be Shazam. And in fact, it's rated as kind of like a PG-13 rating. In some ways, it's a bit frustrating because you miss out on that child audience. But on the other hand, there were a lot of horror elements in this movie, which kind of worked. But at the same time, you could have downplayed some of them just a bit and probably gone for PG. I don't know, maybe. Not every superhero movie needs to be a PG-13, I think there's definite room for growth, and I love the fact that it's clearly set in DC Extended Cinematic Universe, whatever, and plays with that a fair bit. So I would recommend it. I think, some regard, it definitely feels like a movie which play better on your couch at 7 o'clock on Saturday or Friday or whatever. DVD, Blu-ray at home movie rather than a cinema movie, but there's a lot of special effects which work best in cinema, and a few Shazam transformations and action scenes which do need cinema, at least for the first time you view it, and then after that point you can view it on DVD and it'll work out okay. So yeah, I'd probably say about 3.5 out of 5. Not quite the Shazam movie I was hoping for, but nails a lot of the elements I did like. I did want in Shazam movie. If I could have one complaint, it's that, not even complaint, Dr. Thaddeus Sivana in this movie is played very serious, and that works for the movie, but I can't, in some ways I miss the scheming, ridiculously over-the-top scientist from the comic book. But again, I understand why they went for that choice, because if you've got Billy Batson, who's earnest, and that part of the universe is quite fun and silly, then you need Sivana should clash with Shazam. Shazam feels quite fun, and it's quite a fun, light superhero, and then you've got Sivana who feels quite dark and edgy. And in some ways that works because it's like clash of styles. Like Sivana represents a villain that you imagine DC Universe Superman or Batman would fight, and Shazam represents that more Marvel colourful aesthetic. And in point of fact, Shazam's probably the most colourful superhero. It's got a lot of Christopher Reeve vibes to the character, And like with Batman, Wonder Woman, it's strange it took them so long to have characters who were a bit more light and fun. They clearly can do it, but they don't for whatever reason. Anyway, from here on in, there'll be spoilers, so, stop listening from 3, 2, 1. still listening, you're going to be spoiled. I'm sorry. So Shazam. I think best way to describe it is a really good translation of the Jeff Johns comic book run more than anything. Taking the idea of Shazam being a family legacy, the foster kids, Pedro, Eugene, Mary, Darla, and Freddie, Mary and Billy. Having them as like a family brought together by the lovely parents, who I can't remember their names. But it's quite a cool vibe, and I like the idea that there's this family sense. It goes back to something Jeff Johns always did well in comic books, which was legacy. And massive spoilers. Well, not even massive spoilers. If you know comic book, you know that all characters end up becoming Marvels of their own or Shazams of their own. And Billy sharing it with them is a nice path to character arc. Although it got a bit frustrating points because it was sort of like, I was thinking, this is clearly where the movie's going, and it drags out and doesn't do it to right near the end. But there's some cool stuff there. The only thing I think of is they'll have to tread carefully in the sequel because, it should still be Billy's story predominantly. And the fact they're teasing quite heavily a few things, well, actually, go a couple of different ways in the sequel. You got the monster men they tease with the crocodiles through like doorway room. You got Savannah fucking Mr. Minds in this movie. Like, that's crazy. That's amazing. Like, Mr. Mind. I'm sure anyone watches this movie who gets that point be like, I don't understand who's Mr. Mind. How's that make any sense? He's telepathic, like cockroach, and it's sort of like, yes, he is. That's why comics are awesome. And Shazam embraces that quite nicely. I thought keeping Savannah around fit very much in line with where the character of Shazam is. Shazam shouldn't murder anyone. No. It should be nice, bright, fluffy, weird. And in that regard, one of the things I like most about movies, as I said earlier, it contrasts with wider DC universe. The fact that these characters exist in that universe is crazy. And it feels like they're trying to do a kind of mild reset since Justice League. Like, this movie posits that all of those things happen, Superman's back, and it's all bright and sky. Actually leads to one of my favourite scenes in the movie, which was the cameo, for lack of a better term, by Superman from Net Down. But I kind of like that, because apparently there's rumours that Henry Cavill was written into this movie to play Superman, but evidently creative issues and pay issues necessitate that not happening. But it's kind of fun, because this movie feels kind of audacious. It's, to a mild extent, the Deadpool of the DC universe, where it's like, we have a bit of fun, not to the extremes of Deadpool, but they can have some fun. They'd be a bit silly, bit self-reverent, and poking fun at the bullets that Freddy's caught from Superman and Batman fighting, and all bits of superhero stuff that Freddy's picked up, which is kind of amusing, really, because the DC universe with like Batman, Superman, all of that doesn't portray superheroes in a great light, but Freddy's embraced the idea of them and just run with it. It's like showing that it's almost like they're saying Freddy's a stand-in for Dallas Sandberg who made the movie. By positing that, you can take the ideas and run with them. You don't need necessarily be hamstrung by the execution, Daryl clearly is given keys to this cinematic car and he drove it. And I think he does a really good job. I think he's clearly hired because he can make it a bit darker than you'd otherwise expect from a Shazam movie, but at the same time play off the tropes and make it light too. The cinematic sins, the 7 deadly sins, as personified in this movie, are terrifying effects. There's probably what got them PG-13. It's quite horrifying effects, really. As it's exemplified by when they massacre John Glover. That's lovely to see John Glover in the movie. He's a really good actor, and it's a bit meta of him playing the corrupt, evil father of a bold supervillain. Small thing. But John Glover's always good. And Mark Strong does a really good job. He plays off the other characters nicely, because he's so serious and like angry and upset about like why he wasn't chosen. And Billy's just pointing out that, like, it doesn't matter if chosen or not. It matters what you do or don't do. And I think Billy's got a nice character arc in this movie. Like I said, it follows the Jeff Johns run a fair bit. If I was going to have any criticisms, not even criticisms, just like little points. I think kind of Mary Mary Batson or Vasquez, whatever her name is, was underutilized. She's obviously in the original comic book, she's actually Billy's sister, but in this comic book, she's like his foster sister because the way the movie deviates Billy's parentage, it doesn't make any sense for Mary to be related to Billy in any blood form. Although the movie does present that blood isn't necessarily blood ain't family, family is what you make of it. But I think I don't know, it's something Compass run into too, where they try and portray that she's a lovely woman, I guess is the best way of putting it, but sometimes that can be a bit dull. And the movie tends to almost fall into that trap. There is a few bits of lines of dialogue talking about how she did run away a couple of times, which gives her a bit of a character streak, but there's not much. Some of the other kids don't get much either. Darla obviously gets a lot. She's the youngest one, and she gets some good stuff to work with. And the actress is very charming and adorable. Freddie obviously gets the most of screen time, sort of like Billy's sidekick. And Pedro and Eugene get little bits here and there, but not too much. Although they didn't have to include them all, and it's quite nice change space having them. Worth comments. I thought Stuffed Billy's mum was original mum. That's quite sad, actually. I thought that's quite a interesting change to mythos. Having her as a teenage mother who chose to give her kid up. But then there's a bit at the end where they hint that maybe there's a bit more to it than meets the eye. She looks sadly after him as he walks away. So who knows? One part I was sad about was we didn't get Tawny Talkie the tiger, the talking tiger. It was one of my favourite parts of Shazam mythology, but obviously we'll get that in the sequel because there are little tiger bits on Billy's costume, on his cloak even, cape. And no Black Adam, but I suppose that makes sense. You don't want to overawe the movie too much, and there's a good bit of foreshadowing for him. Also, it's kind of nice and they're not rushing through the villains too quickly, because the idea of Black Adam in the sequel or in his own movie is quite interesting. It could be quite cool. And I mean, I liked the movie. It was fun. I thought it was very watchable. I'm sure it'll be better on second viewing. Love the jokes here. A little kid smashing Batman and Superman figures against each other, and then seeing Shazam fighting Dr. Sivana. Oh, Dr. Sivana's superpowers, by the way, because they didn't really want to go down the mad scientist route too much, so he had to have be powered by the 7 deadly sins. Which I get, I get you need to have fights and all that, but in future movies I'd much more like to see Dr. Sivana as the crazy scientist who's making ridiculous shit and try and take down Shazam with. That personally I would prefer, but I understand maybe it's a bit too much for the first movie, and Mr. Mind could give him the mental capacity to make stuff like that. But crazy comic book Dr. Sivana, scientist Dr. Sivana, is always my favourite version of character. Like the stuff from 52 event, comic book event where him and a bunch of scientists are carrying weapons to take down Black Adam. I love that stuff, I think Mark Strong could really go over the top with it, so that'd be good. But it's plenty of room for a sequel, so it seems to have made a pretty decent amount of money, so that's encouraging. Anyway, so there you go. There's my review of Shazam. Definitely recommended. The horror elements are quite horrifying. Not a perfect movie, but very competently made, clear action, decent action, and for once not a take over the planet story. I mean, it's hinted that that's Sivana's long-term plan, but his first plan was, I want your power, because I want to be worthy. It's kind of like a Red Skull Captain America thing, where it's sort of like, why are you worthy and I'm not? And the reason Billy's worthy is because he doesn't want power. So yeah, I thought that's a really good movie, very fun, very light, and I thought they did a good job having some of the goofier elements of comic book, like Billy's cursing of Holy Moly feels somewhat fluid in movie, and I'll be looking forward to the next Shazam or whatever it is. And like I said, on Friday it'll be Paranormal Activity Tokyo Nights. Next week, maybe I'll do another horror movie review. Or Friday Night Fright Limitless, who knows. Anyway, till next time, remember, life is beautiful.